Let's go. Let's go. Don't copyright claim me. Yeah. Don't do it, Lil Jon. Steph T, my #1 fan, how's it sounding? Sound check. Knife wrench. Let's go. If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. I'm gonna get to these reviews. Let's go. Let's go. I need my own Lil Jon. I gotta get Lil Jon. Maybe I could just call Lil Jon and be like, hey. Oh, there's no music, so it's good. There's no music. I'm the music. I am the music makers, and I am the dreamers of the dreams. Just like Mike said, then he grabs her fucking face. Like, there shouldn't be music. Or is there supposed to be music? Do I have music? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alley poops. Yay! Back, let's go. What's up, audience? My audience, my beautiful audience of one. Can never thank you enough. Can never ever thank you enough. On here it says that you have awarded on my little screen thing, it says you have been awarded the badge of top fan. Oh, does that make you feel, does it make you good? Does it make you feel good in the tingly in the binglies? Sometimes there's the little instrumental stuff as ambiance. There was, you are absolutely correct. But your boy kept getting copyrighted, striked, or it gets flagged. I don't know why. Because the music I'm using, I looked for it specifically as royalty free, but it's like no, this is copyright because while it's free to use, it could be copyrighted in the future. And I was like, that's some Minority Report copyright shit. Like, why do that? That's why I forwent the music until maybe I can make some of my own, which I can do right now. Review on the movies. Reviewing the movies. I'm gonna review the movies. I'm gonna review some movies and a TV show. Hey, that wasn't bad. I think that might be the jingle for your boy Dimitri doing the movie reviews and TV. Maybe throwing a video game every now and then. Maybe even a book. Yeah, that'd be cool. But for now, movies and TV, probably the main staple for the Rex and recommendations, the rectum recommendations. I can recommend things for the rectum and for you to witness. It says we have 2 viewers. I wonder who viewer number 2 is. Hey, if you are viewer number 2 out there, aside from Stephanie T, don't be shy. Say hello. Hello. There's, I want to say there's at least 4 songs that I know of that start that way. Hello. It's me. It's Adele. There's hello. There's Lionel Richie. There's hello. And then there's followed by my baby, hello, my honey. It's sung by a frog. And that's pretty much the truth of it. It's sung by a frog. Hello, my prime time gal. Gal, baby, my heart's on fire. Hold on, everybody. I gotta get a little bit of my Argentinian whiskey. Oh, yeah. My whiskey tastes like tapas. Woo, 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 woo. Just waiting for the chat to blow up just a little bit, see who else is coming in. Give them a little time before we get going on the fun shenanigans that is some recs and recommendations. Some good things going in. Want to talk about some movies that I've been watching. I've been watching them at home, some of them in the theater. Got to get some good press coverage for these stories. I like a good review and a good evaluation of stories, especially for movies and TV. That's right. Just giving it a few more. I'll give it maybe 2 more minutes, minute or so. Love of the stream. I hope the sound is still okay. I feel like my voice can cut out sometimes if I go too high. Oh, now I got 3 viewers. Hey, viewers numbers 2 and 3, or the other 2 that are there, say hello. Say bonjour, 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 bonjour. There goes Heyoka. He is so goddamn... Wow, that didn't fit the meter whatsoever. He is so ridiculous. Ridiculous. Dang, it sounded like I said ridiculous. So it's like ridiculous? Like I was dickless, got one, and then I not anymore? That sucks. I mean, if it keeps growing back, I guess that's cool. Hey, cousin! Yeah. So I gotta wonder if Steph T. Allison was the first viewer. Cousin Vic is number 2. Who is number 3? That's kind of that sound, right? All right, let's see. Who is number 2? Are you brave enough? Are you brave enough, viewer number 2, to say something? Can you type into the chat? I just hit my tiny desk with my knee. My goodness. My goodness. But yeah, all chatters, by all means, say hello. Because we got a lineup for you today, my friends. I have a lineup for everybody. I am reviewing 5 movies and a 6th. Well, 5 movies and a TV show. But the last one I kept as a little bit of a surprise because, I don't know, it's fun. Why not? And now we're back to 2. It's okay. I only need 1, friends. Hell, I've performed for myself. I do it in front of a mirror in the shower all the time. I am my best audience member. That's not true. I judge myself so harshly. It's hard, friends. It's hard to not judge yourself. This is why I drink. This is why I drink Lithuanian whiskey. Oh, yeah. Tastes like a Dodger dog. Actually, that one did kind of taste like a hot dog. What is that? Maybe it's my makeup? Maybe it's my makeup. All right, friends. So, yes, we got an awesome lineup here for you today. Live. Coming at you live on Tuesday afternoon. That's when we know everybody's available to watch live streams. I chose the perfect time to do this. But it's okay. I just wanted to get it recorded. I wanted to get it out. And if anybody tunes in live, that's great. I want you to enjoy the live show. If not, you can always check it out later because I'll be posting the videos later as well. And potentially just a little more edited, a little more, give it a little more visual flair. Give it away now. Give it away to like the YouTube algorithm to make it look nice. For those of you who have low attention spans, like I sometimes do, yeah, I want to give it some panache. Like the Catholic Church, like George Carlin in Dogma, where he wanted to give the Catholic Church some panache. And that's when he invented the Buddy Christ. Hallelujah. Let me know in the comment. Let me know in the chat, friends, if you ever want me to talk about Dogma, because I would love to talk about Dogma. Dogma is one of my favorite movies of all time. Let me know in the chat if anybody knows Kevin Smith. Can we all talk about Dogma? Can me, K. Smith, Jay Muse, we can get Affleck and Matt, Chris Rock. We can get we're running the whole gambit talking about Dogma. That would be sweet. All right, friend, but we got 5 movies and a TV show going in solid and strong, all right? So here we go again. What's my weakness? Pizza and tacos, like a good taco. Let me know, friends, in the chat. Do you like tacos? Do you like all the fluff in there? Me personally, if you just have the right kind of meat, you get a nice warm tortilla with some cilantro and onions and a good sauce. That's all you need for a good taco. But here we go. Talking about our first film of the reviews. The first film of our reviews is Kaplow! Thunderbolts! The Thunderbolts! Thunderbolts! Oh man, okay, so before we get, Vic T, cousin says, please do. Unfortunately, Smith still doesn't have all the rights. I thought he got them. I saw a thing on there that said that K. Smith was getting, like, he was edging ever so closer. So maybe he still hasn't been finalized, but yeah, I guess the Weinstein Company, Miramax and stuff won't release them to him. That sucks. I hope he does. I hope he does too. I have to probably recheck, but I swore that I saw an update, or he was talking about it on one of his podcasts or something, that he was like, it was happening. The petition was working and stuff, so I hope so. All right, so movie time. Thunderbolts. I absolutely love the fact that Marvel came to a place where they're like, we gotta make the funness again. Not that Marvel ever completely went away from funness, but Thunderbolts definitely went to the way of fun and heart. So, Thunderbolts, if you're curious and have not seen it yet, according to Google, the summary goes as this. Ensnared in a death trap, my ex-wife, an unconventional team of antiheroes, Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster, and John Walker all embarks on a dangerous mission that forces them to confront the darkest corners of their past. Yes, that's actually good. We're missing a character in there. We're missing Bob, and as awesome as it would have been to have King Bob from the Minions, because I love me some King Bob. That's a good summation. Yelena going through some things. Many of these what will be known as the new Avengers are going through some things, and frankly, it's all because of Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She got fired from Seinfeld. Her political career didn't go so well in Veep, so she's trying to mess with the MCU and mess with the new Avengers. And this plan that she enacts, well, basically, sort of by not any intention of her own, unites the Thunderbolts. What can I say about this film? Absolutely the most atrocious documentary I've ever seen about potato farming. That's the long and short of it, friend. Absolutely atrocious. But it was a butt ton of fun. I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised with the Thunderbolts, and happy to announce that it's so much fun, funny. The action in it is great. And you had a really, really solid amount of chemistry with the entirety of the cast. Look at that cast. Look at that beautiful, beautiful cast. All doing it, right? They're all on this side of me. Yeah, like I can't. I wish I could go in there and just everything. But that's the overall thing. So what makes it great is that it sets a lovely tone, kind of a little bit more dim as far as for like the color palette they use inside of the Thunderbolts. You had a lot of grays and yellows going in there, but from what I understand, grays and yellows, sometimes that can actually mean like moral ambiguity. A yellow color palette can definitely lead way to like there's something ill-fitting about a host body, especially mixed with that ambiguity, the gray. A lot of things can lead to sickness, which you will find in the movie is definitely a motif. It's definitely a theme inside the this particular MCU movie, as most of this cast, I'd say 100 to 120% of this cast all have severe trauma and past things that they have not fully dealt with yet. So, well, maybe aside from Bucky has got some good, but he does. He's obviously had to go through some business in order to do it. So that particular motif, I know some people were saying that maybe it looks a little ugly, maybe it looks a little weird, or maybe generic, as far as for the actual the color palette they use and the way they kind of shot it. But so very Marvel, but with a very distinguished, very dreary tone, very Man of Steel. I think I heard one of my favorite reviewers say it's like kind of like Saving Private Ryan, and I understood that. And it's, it's nice to have a more brighter thing for a superhero movie, but that just wasn't it, and it didn't bother me so much. It was actually kind of lovely. It's shot in a way that's very Marvel, so it gives way to you get a grand scheme of things in order to see everything inside the frame, which is important. I know it seems very obvious, but like they actually let the standing and let the characters do a lot of the work, which is cool. The action is awesome. I will say that the action does seem, I don't know if in past Marvel films where it's much more the choreo and everything going on is much heavier, say for something like Avengers Civil War or Captain America Winter Soldier, or even this is sort of an unfair comparison, but like Shang-Chi, where the action seems to be dialed up as far as for the rhythm of it. It seems to be a little slow, even with like past events with I don't know if the maybe like they wanted to show something different. Something is a little bit more molassesy. It's not terrible, not a terrible thing, but like something about it I just noticed because I watched a lot of action films. Seems a little bit more, just a tiny bit slower. And I also don't know if sometimes I know what they'll do is they'll up the frame rate during action to give it more of like a so yeah, it was a tiny bit slow, but not much. Not like you probably wouldn't notice it until I said something. But I wondered if that was a specific choice. But it didn't take away from the action. I just noticed that sometimes like the rhythm of it was just a little bit like, that's interesting. That's different. Who knows? Maybe, everybody's a little older. Maybe Elena, her skill set, maybe she's not quite as fast as Natasha, say, as her sister. But she's still very effective. So going into that, let's get into the characters real quick. That's my Alaskan whiskey, my molasses Alaskan whiskey. I'm gonna make that drink just so I can just do that and give people a little bit of a tongue twister before I burn your tongue with stuff. The characters, all fantastic. Everybody brings the A game. I would even say the S game when it comes to what they got going with each and every one of their characters. I gotta have all the love for Mr. Harbor here, lovely Miss Pugh, Stan, everybody going in hard with their stuff. You don't see much of Taskmaster. That's the tongue twister. That's what I get for drinking out of the job. You don't see much of Taskmaster, and for those of you who know, you'll know why. But they nailed the characterizations. They nailed the chemistry going on, and everybody digs into their sort of dynamic, which I actually really love and appreciate, because who doesn't love a good buddy sort of team-up movie? And I really like that there was a little bit of a refreshing thing that they all had some conflicts, but it wasn't overwhelming and didn't just like completely separate them and then bring them back like they did in the first Avengers. I love that in the first Avengers. But then, we've seen it a good amount of times. So the fact that they sort of dejected, but not too much, and then came together in order to fight the big bad threat near the end, always fantastic. Mama Miss Florence, Yelena, bringing beautiful vulnerability and just this emotion to what her character is going through, and her essentially surrogate father figure, Mr. the Red Guardian, is trying his best to help. You know, John Walker, my man, just trying to fight with himself to find the best of himself. My poor man Bob, going through a trauma that just he doesn't quite understand because of how he feels. Ghost, she probably the most closed off, funny enough, of the group. And Sebastian Stan is actually probably in a way the big brother slash like the big brother, like the papa of the of the group, because he is the one who went through his journey already to adjust to everything that happened to him. So all in all, the cast brought everything that you would need to really enjoy. The story is, well, it actually is. It is very much an exploration of what you do to find purpose, how sometimes trauma and your past, your memories and things that you have done that you have hold yourself onto. It's good. It's really engaging, and the story is nothing more than it needs to be in order to introduce what I imagine will be the new Avengers, because they would definitely be. I would want to watch them again. Absolutely, I would want to see this cast and see what they do, and you know, if they bring that up in the future phases of Marvel, that would be awesome. I think that would be like, it's just like when you saw the first Avengers. I would actually want to know more about this new team, just like I wanted to know more about Tony and Cap and Thor and Hulk and Natasha. And then we come into, like, we meet Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, we meet we met Black Panther, we met T'Challa, and then, unfortunately with his Chadwick's demise, now we get to dive deep into Shuri. Like, so many characters. I know there's more that I missed out, but there's so many characters out there that I would not mind going in there. And if one of the main sort of pegs in the Marvel universe is them, I'm cool with that. I'm absolutely cool with that. Now here's the thing that most people like to take their pants off to and massage it. It's the butt cracks in the story, like the weaknesses in the bones, the weaknesses, the osteoporosis of the bones. I got the arthritis in my bones. Because everybody thrives on negativity. That's why I call them booty cracks, because they're always there. They're kind of present. You try to make them as small as possible, and hopefully reduce your osteoarthritis by as much as you can. But very few films are perfect. Actually, I don't even like that. That might be an impossibility. Throw in the comments if you think there's a perfect film. And I think the one really hard hurdle for a movie to be considered perfect is that everybody has to like it. At the very least, respect it. That might be impossible. Like, perfection might be impossible, but that's impossible. Anyways, the osteoporosis, the butt cracks in the film is, I kind of felt that in the beginning, the pacing was a little too rushed. I don't mind if a movie let the burner boil the water, if that makes sense. It's a tiny bit rushed, not much at all, but there were some scenes that I would have liked to let breathe just a little more in order to get things going. And I know that might be a response to the fact that, well, y'all, it's Marvel, and their demographic is sure as hell not me, not really, not mainly anymore. If I was 20 years younger, yeah, maybe. But it's for youngins, and they also got to compete with cell phones and stuff like that. They got to compete with vertical things, TikTok and stuff like that. So you gotta give them. I gave them grace, absolutely. Probably another main one that I would have really, that I would say was a little bit of a missed step was the fact that they didn't dive as much as I really wanted them to. There is a sequence where you sort of get a little piece of everybody kind of involved, given what happens in the story, and we missed that with some of the characters. You get from maybe around 60% of the characters, but not everybody. And I really would have liked to have done the exploration for each of the characters when they sort of combat their own trauma, so to speak. Yeah, I actually would have really liked them to take the opportunity to, like, yeah, let us learn more about Ghost, a little more about John Walker and everything. And yeah, that was probably one other thing too. Like, just the impetus of that, the little weakness in that would have been really, really cool. All in all, friends, Thunderbolt is a riding good time. A family can probably go watch this. I don't know if it's, I'm not the Motion Picture Society Association institution of who can watch movies and who can't because of your age and all this other stuff. But a family would enjoy this movie, I think, because it's a good time. The message could be a little on the nose in the end. I understand that. The hand can get really heavy near the end. It's mildly distracting if that's what you're kind of into. Anybody who's none the wiser, it's all good. It's all good in the Thunderbolty hood. So with that, my friends, I'm going to overall say that Thunderbolts, in my estimation, gets a lovely 7.8 out of 10 warm hugs. Why warm hugs? Well, you watch the movie. If you know, you'll know. Yeah. All right, friends. And we're moving along to the next one. We finally got a piece of some pie. I would love some pie right now. Oh, I love some pie. Pie, singing the song about pie. Pi 3.14 equals MC squared. Something like that. Next. And now, going on to a lovely project coming out from Disney TV, Marvel TV, essentially. We are going to Ironheart. Ironheart, Ironheart. There's a show called Ironheart. I know that's not right. That's what is that? That's Spider-Man. Yeah, that's Spider-Man. I was almost like, that's the Iron Man, but it's not. It's not the Iron Man. Yeah, Ironheart. Here we go, friends. This is not a movie. This is a TV show. Going in for Ironheart. I believe it's a 6-episode miniseries on Disney Plus under the Marvel banner, obviously. All right. So, according to Google, wow, that's sad and reductive. The only thing it says here, it says, genius teenager inventor Riri Williams creates the most advanced suit of armor since Iron Man. That's so not everything. Wow. Google. Okay, well, I'm gonna expand on that just a wee bit. Riri is back from Wakanda. If you have seen Wakanda Forever, you are introduced to Riri Williams. If not, go watch Wakanda Forever. That movie's pretty damn awesome. You're introduced to Riri Williams in Wakanda Forever, and essentially her study abroad internship at Wakanda ends, and she's over at MIT trying to make herself a legacy to something that stands as her own, especially with the world being as it is in the shadow of a genius like Tony Stark. But with that, she's kind of run down and everything. Like, you know, she doesn't have the material she needs in order to really let her genius fly. Pun heavily intended. And with that, in order to get these things, she kind of comes in a bad way with some folk. doing her best and only to unravel all kinds of crazy shenanigans, dealing with what it means with legacy and also mixing technology with magic. And oh my lord, this actually opens up a whole slew of things with a character that has been so sought after since I'm pretty sure like maybe phase 2 of Marvel. So it's been quite a minute. It's been a thing that's been a thing for the longest time. Ironheart. Let me tell you something about Ironheart, friends. All that stupid internet drama of all that bullcrap aside, this show ain't bad. This particular part of the review will actually be a little harder to dissect and to eloquate, which is not the right word, but to be eloquently eloquocious and to eloquate for you to under-eloquate. The things I loved about it are also the things that made the weaknesses show in the show. I'll explain. See, with the story, they did many things that I quite enjoyed, and the problem is they didn't explore them deep enough. They got, I felt like they got like a small shovel for a really big hole that they were trying to, but the shovel was like this deep, very shallow, and not at all like the tools that you might want to use in order to express the stories that they might have needed to really explore what someone like Riri Williams would need. And they had like a real opportunity to like focus it just a little better. Because essentially she is, she was at MIT, she's trying to do her best, and in order for her to get she kind of reluctantly joins this group who she finds out she thought they were doing maybe some good with like what they were trying to do, kind of like a Robin Hood situation. Literally, that's why my man Anthony Ramos from, you probably best know him from like Hamilton or something like that, kind of steal from the rich, give to the poor type situation. She reluctantly tries to join that, but it kind of goes south real quick because obviously there's nefarious activities going on. But there was so much to work with that they just kind of went. They did little sprinkles. They put a little sprinkles, little tapas on top of the story, and it didn't really get flushed out the way it needed to. And I think that was a big detriment for something that you could do from what I was reading about what you could do with someone like Riri Williams, who is, they say that she's potentially on a particular spectrum. I don't know if that's substantiated by the source material or the thing. I think Mama is just incredibly lonely in a way, and she's incredibly just unable to connect the same way because of how she sees the world and her actual like inherent and her very, very hard-earned genius. She actually, this is what she does. She loves to build things. Speaking on something like that, let's go into the performances for everybody coming in. You had a lovely little, you had a whole characterizations of different types of people. Ms. Dominique Thorne as the titular Ironheart / Riri Williams. Doing lovely. As standoffish as she is, and I know a lot of people say like, man, she's what a selfish, terrible person. I was actually inclined to agree, especially in the first couple times, and she cracks every once in a while when she and then she kind of starts to open up, kind of near the end of the series, and I was like, Then I learned about a little bit of the source material. I guess she was sort of written that way, but some people say by mistake. You do kind of go in and out, like on her side, not on her side, on her side, because you're like, what are you doing? You're like, how do you feel? What are you doing? Why are you giving your mama such business? But those times when she does crack, it's actually really kind of profound. There's a beautiful scene in there where she kind of takes a holographic flashback and she lets the shield, she lets the guard down. She actually lets the more vulnerable human side of her come out, and understanding just what her actions mean to people and what it actually means for her to be honest with herself about what she wants. And by all means, she ain't perfect. So anybody out there apparently all sick of Mary Sue's and all that other bullshit, well, you definitely don't have a Mary Sue in this one, and now you're mad about it. What do you want? Y'all are worse than Rachel McAdams in The Notebook. What do you want? What do you want? Sorry, I got sidetracked. I was like looking at these some of the actors. I was like, I know how to say that name. So you have Alden and Ehrenreich. Probably most notably, he did the Solo movie. He was Han Solo. My man gave a very, very dimensional, a nice, good dimensions of characterization for his character in the show. A lot of good characterizations, a lot of dimensions. Sometimes he was hardcore, sometimes he was very scared. Going good as Joe McGillicuddy, but an identity is secret. I also got to give a special little shout out to for Mama Lyric Ross, who plays Natalie Washington, and I got to give a little bit of a shout out too for my boy Anthony Ramos, who plays the Hood. I don't agree that people say he's not menacing. Like I said, some of the directional things and some of the messiness of the story structure didn't exactly invite a whole lot of menace for him to be presented. But when he was actually kind of honed in on, I thought he actually did. He was pretty intimidating, actually. Kind of, my man has, he is weird how a man with kind of like a baby face and like a kind of like a soft, gentler face can actually look like he's just a little erratic and sort of, it's like that a little bit of a spider sense that you don't know if they're going to actually pounce on you or do something out of character. So I thought that was cool. Overall, yeah, everybody's chiming in good. And I remember thinking, is this show, again, just like Thunderbolts, is it meant for someone of my demographic, or are we trying to reach kids who are much younger? Let that sink into your heads, friends, because I'm still trying to figure it out. I could probably ask, but I only get the AI Google search, and I'm pretty sure this could be a lie. It could not be. But Marvel and Disney, essentially, they're for kids. What age those kids are, it's a pretty wide spectrum. So yeah, I touched on this just a little bit, but yeah, those osteoporosis inside the movie, those butt cracks, the weaknesses in the bones. Like I said, some directorial choices were a little bit, didn't give like I said, didn't give like the menace for someone like the Hood, Anthony Ramos' character. Certain things to let them breathe a little bit again, and to also just really focus on maybe 2 thematic themes going on with Riri, like at most, especially for a 6-episode miniseries. And I know they're probably really maybe pitching in for a season 2, but I know it can happen, it could not. If they leave it open like this, I'd be interested to see what they do with it, but I also hope they take it and they focus it more. Like that would be, if anybody at Disney who want to listen to a dude with like less than 100 people on his channel and who's never had a real professional job and so long in the arts. Anyway, I would just recommend that. Just like focus it in, really dig deep into what she's about and what the certain implications going on, because it really has, this show has a lot going for it as far as for what it can explore. Legacy, trauma, fear with sort of fear and tragedy in life in those circumstances, entitlement, a capitalist sort of mindset in a world that's made to keep, or rather a system that's made to keep certain people like elevated, but the elevation is like an illusion. You're actually still kind of an underling. AI versus reality, like the human consciousness, magic versus machinery and the potential integration, so many things to explore. So overall, friends, Ironheart, I was never ever mad at it. If anything, I was just like wanting it to really go there. So for Disney Plus's Ironheart, I gotta give 6.2 slices of pizza. Why slices of pizza? Well, watch the show. If you know, you'll know. Yeah. In fact, I can go for 6.2 slices of pizza right now. Pizza's delicious. Let's see how we're doing. Boopity boop. Handy the magician. That's me. That was an old Loud in the Fog thing that we're doing here, friends. So that was Ironheart. A little bit of, let's recharge. Ooh, yeah. That is some soul glow. Just let your soul glow. Just let it shine. All right, so and I definitely needed to boost her up because this next one is a doozy. The film that we are going to next, my friends, is pretty freaking awesome. We are talking about Zabah. Signers, starring Michael B. Jordan. Nope, but no, for real. Sinners, my goodness, directed by Ryan Coogler, who is of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Creed, and Fruitvale Station. What? What did we just watch? My goodness. Okay, so Sinners, not Signers, Sinners. Sinners, friends, is potentially one of the greatest films of 2025. I would really go up to say it's up there as the greatest films of the last decade. My goodness. And we were lucky enough to see this in theaters. I say lucky because where we live, it's a tiny little theater. And the movies only stay there for maybe a couple weeks. I'm sure maybe depending, but they got to circulate them pretty well because I think it's like 3 screens. We should work to increase the screens. No movie theater, just like No Troll Left Behind, no movie theater should be less than 5 screens so you can have people coming in there. So, according to Google, Sinners' summary is as such. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their Mississippi hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Again, Google, like, I know these are summaries, but like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of a hook. Yeah, it's a hook. But boy, does that not cover anything that happens in Sinners. My great goodness, friends, this movie, definitely, they say it is a horror genre, but I'll talk about this a little later. Horror can do some things. Horror can really do the substantial things as far as for commentary and societal craziness and all that shit. No, Sinners, I can say this from the jump. Sinners stuck with me and my partner for a while. Like that initial thing, there was so much to talk about. One of my favorite things to do is actually, aside from talking to my partner about these movies, is actually deep dive and hear other people's perspectives on these things. And I do that for pretty much every movie that we watch. And we're like, that was interesting. Let's hear what other people are saying. Let's get some inside information. Sinners is not only a fantastic movie, I would say it's high key important. Why? Okay, so Mr. Ryan Coogler, from what I understand, I believe he shot this on IMAX film, and it's a big ass, it is a big ass strip of film. It looks like, the film looks like a big ass cowboy belt. Just like this thick old, like, where's my belt? And there's my belt, and there's my little jewel thing in front of it. That's what it is. And the reason why that's important is because then you can get like a crazy, you can get crazy types of ratios inside the film, so you can sort of either crop or composite your shot to look like specific types of thing. Like it tells, it's a really interesting way. If you're ever curious, my man talks about it on the Kodak sort of film channel on YouTube. And it's just a way you can just definitely manipulate and how you can composite a shot and compose, just like so many people have said, like every frame is a painting, every frame is a picture that is to be instilled into your brain and your soul and stick with you to tell the story. Sinners sing a lot of beautiful single take shots. My man was really trying to get like the full feel of I believe it was to take place in like mid 1930s, 1934, if I'm not mistaken, Mississippi, Jim Crow, the cotton field, like the, oh my goodness, I forgot the word. Like the work disparity between the people who are still there, but they're free, technically, it's a whole thing. But Michael B. Jordan,
excuse me, I'm sorry. Michael B. Jordan gets me a little verklempt. I'm so sorry. I'm just a little verklempt. Just give me a minute. Talk amongst yourselves. Here's a topic. Michael B. Jordan is neither a B nor is he part of the basketball family of Jordans.
Actually, I don't know that. I don't know. Maybe he is, like, somehow. Like he knows Michael Jordan or something like that. But no, just beautifully shot, the composition, that everything goes, you either have like grand scale to show like this particular part of the country, or you have like really, really awesome ways to like make it very intimate and very timely. Everything, this movie is a little sweaty, and this movie is just a whole lot of sexy. And I don't mean like sexy like a chill kind of sexy, like, ooh, that's sexy. Nope. This movie is raunchy. Yeah, this movie has a lot of raunch. We're like peas in the pods, the three of us. Let's face it, you like raunchy, I like raunchy, everybody loves raunchy. This movie, and that's definitely, you can tell my man Coogler was playing with the vampire motif, very, very inspired of these traits that usually go with a little bit of classical and modern vampire lore. And I guess by modern you would say in the past 50 years, 50 to 70 years. But yeah, the sex symbol of vampires, definitely there's some things going on in here. Not explicit, sort of, but you can tell that my man was definitely influenced and put in the right amount of like the spice of different things that you would associate with the vampire genre. Every single one of these performances was memorable, captivating, and impressive. I don't really honestly think there was a weak link in there. My man Michael B. Jordan is playing twins, and distinct enough, even though the distinctions were subtle. And that's also a tribute to the writing of Ryan Coogler. And I gotta see, did he, let me just take a quick glance. Did he write it by himself? Oh yeah. I'm sure he probably had, he might have had a little bit of help. you know, some script doctoring or something. But no, apparently, no. Ryan Coogler is the main credited writer for the movie. Awesome. He was able to write them just enough to be like definitely distinguished. You can just tell the actions, the more joyous nature of Stack versus the more aggressive and like hardened nature of Smoke, or if it's the other way around. Please forgive me. It's been a minute since I've seen the movie, but my man nails the thing, and he also lets them both breathe in the circumstances of what happens. And the two brothers, as much as they love each other, as much as they're with, they have very different sort of ideologies and life paths and just what have happened. So he nailed it. Ryan Coogler also happened to write something beautiful for the lovely Miss Haley Steinfeld, of being a woman who is, I believe she has black ancestry, but she's a white woman, and that disparity of not belonging is she nails that, and her southern lilt and like the attitude that comes with it, and the type of vulnerability of not vulnerability, but the type of, you know, she's always just a little bit on some type of guard and falls into where she knows she can fall in, but then obviously it's just a different type of struggle that this particular person has. It's just like, and Mama does excellent. I believe we got Miles Canton as our technically the lead as Sammy. My man's voice is just awesome because my man's a real musician and he plays it so well. Like there's this beautiful innocence to him that, don't worry, my man don't stay innocent during this movie, if you know what I'm saying. But there's beautiful innocence, and you can tell that the love of music, especially from him being a musician, just pours into that. Mama, who plays Annie, Miss Wunmi Mosaku, is just like, oh my god, just like the beautiful like storytelling. Like everybody is like, she just radiates that type of wisdom and a love interest, which is so freaking awesome to see. My goodness, everybody was just on fire. And a special shout out to my man who plays Remick as well. Let me get my man's. I just want to make sure I get his name right. Jack O'Connell. Right. Omar Benson Miller, Jamie Lawson. But yeah, my man Remick. What an interesting antagonist. I don't even want to say villain necessarily. I mean, yes, villainous, but an antagonist more so than anything of the vampire who messes with these guys trying to open up their juke joint. Yep. Can't say enough about I can talk about this movie for hours, friends. Like, I really can. So I'm going to try and get it in. Let's get in the way of anything like that. So let's just real quick, we hit on the cracks because my goodness, there's not many. If we're talking about booty cracks, this is a tiny little booty crack. There's not much osteoporosis. There's like in the bones, there's maybe a little bit of like some degeneration, maybe in the hips or the toes, in the knees, maybe, but it's like so slight you don't even notice it. The one thing I kind of found was that like it did very much seem to change tones that could have been a little cleaner, and that's something that you catch if you're a little savvy. The tone, the change in what the movie was in the first half versus I'm gonna say the first 2/3 versus what happens in the last third is just like, oh my goodness, it's so, it's not drastic. It's just like, oh wow, this is happening. This is different. And don't get me wrong, they set it up and then it goes fast. And like, I think that's probably one of the main things I like about the movie is that like, I wish there would have been just more of an expansion, because you see the influences that he has, but there's more of an expansion near the end, especially when all the craziness starts to happen with the vampires and all that stuff. A little longer, but it's so minor, and it's such like a little, like you said, like you don't really notice it unless you like let yourself notice it, because it doesn't really detract from the movie, and everything that needs to happen happens, and everything that you need to feel extraordinary while you watch the film happens. So yeah, I have to give a special shout out to the music of the film. There's so much to give special shout outs to this film, but the music, my lord, and what they do for the existential, philosophical, and sort of metaphysical nature in music and what it means cross-culturally, and they don't even discriminate towards, like, you know, one culture bad, one culture good, white bad, white this. Like, no, they let it be known that music is that hyper powerful thing that breaks the veil of time. When you watch the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But they really did a brilliant job of the mixing between the blues, folk music, and different types of things. Oh my goodness, it was just masterwork. Oh, another little butt crack is I kind of do wish, because we get a little we get a visit from lovely indigenous people, and I kind of wish they came back. Sorry, let me. It's escaping me at the moment. I believe it's the Choctaw. Yeah, I was right. Okay. The Choctaw Nation, like some people from the Choctaw Nation make their way, like the characters in the movie. I kind of wish they would have came back. I would have thought that was pretty cool, but that's just like, that's not even play. Just like, oh, that would have been cool to integrate them back somehow. Maybe they did. Who knows? Maybe in like a deleted scene or something like that. That would have been cool to see them come. But even their small part in the movie is kind of like, oh, it's a good way to build some dread. As I said before, friends, what you can do with horror is just horror is extremely effective if you do it right at social, political, economic, psychological commentary. Like any type of commentary, horror has a very, very unique voice to it. And when your movie is this thoughtful and this sort of carefully crafted, and how you craft it to the parallels of something in the culture versus what happens, oh my goodness, it's magic. And it's one of those things where, like, it's like when you read a good book or when you see a good painting, have good food, you just like know you're something more is happening than just general, not necessarily bad, but you just know that there's more going on. So a lot of people kind of compared this movie to Dusk Till Dawn, and don't get me wrong, I actually really enjoyed Dusk Till Dawn. You know, Tarantino, George Clooney, Harvey Keitel, like the whole business going in there. I enjoy that movie absolutely for what it is. It gets super ridiculously insane near the end. I would love to see that, and I wouldn't even mind if Ryan Coogler helmed that, or if like Sterling Harjo from my man from like Res Dogs or any other like indigenous they collaborated. That would be awesome. That should be, if they greenlight a Sinners 2, and if they don't follow like the stories that you see from the cast of the first one, but if they followed like the Choctaw vampire hunters and they collabed on trying to do this thing, oh, that would be awesome. Let's go. I'm for it. I am so for it. Stephanie T says, I would love to see that movie. See, that's why she's down. And expand on the world he created. Yeah, and from what I understand, cousin, they're obviously in talks, because a lot of people, anybody who kind of understands the rhythm of Hollywood and stuff like that, like if you make a smash hit, they're basically they're like, oh my God, thank you, do it again, here's all the money you need and all this other stuff. Sometimes that means beautiful things happen. Sometimes that means you get crap. Or just, if not crap, the in-between is like something that's just not as good because the expectation is way too high. It's crazy. But I am absolutely for a Choctaw, like exploring the Choctaw Nation and maybe even other indigenous cultures along with the black cultures that are dealing with like the vampires and how even you probably have different types of vampires, not just Irish, the ones Irish born like Remick. It's crazy. So my friends, Sinners, I so far recommended all these things. I give Sinners a, what did I put? Yep. Sinners by Ryan Coogler coming in so hot at a 9.4 out of 10 ice cream cones. Why ice cream cones? Well, you watch the movie and if you know, you'll know. Sinners was so good. That's fuck Ryan Coogler. God, I'm trying to like get by on mediocrity. Fuck. Why can't I get by on mediocrity? Why can't I just do bullshit and then like be awesome and famous and rich and stuff? Why? Oh. I mean, I guess you could, but I couldn't. I don't. Clearly. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, we're taking a transition. Same genre, but oh, what a wildly different film this is, friends. Because sometimes you find little gems, you know? I gotta say that. I'll say that again. Sometimes you find little gems on places that you didn't even expect. It's like losing your keys, and then it just kind of happens when you're not trying to look. You're just like, oh yeah, there they are. Oh, not the keys, like your remote, right? Like your remote. You're like, huh, where's the remote? And you don't try. It's just something that happens. This next one is definitely something that does that. And this next film was the most pleasant of surprises that freaked the fuck out of me. Here we go. Ha! I'm changing that right now to Gunjam Haunted Asylum. I just read that right now. One of the 7 freakiest places in the world. My goodness. What a thing to find in the found footage sort of live thing, the found footage genre of horror. Woo! This movie. Yes. Yes. I will say, obviously, clearly, you can probably get my thing that the praise is going on with the Gunjam Haunted Asylum. Found footage? It's not necessarily found footage. It's. I mean, I guess technically you could say it's found footage, but it was present tense happening live, so it's live. The live footage genre of horror. That really, you know, like, so you if you think about the found footage genre, that's coming from, you know, the most popular thing in recent history is like the Blair Witch Project, and then I think got revamped with Paranormal Activity, right? Those franchises. This one is not that. So let's dive a little deeper. Let's dive a little deeper. So, according to Google, as such, the summary goes, the crew of a horror web series travels to an abandoned asylum. Always the smartest decision for your livelihood and to keep limbs where they are and to not die a terrible, terrible paranormal death. Travels to an abandoned asylum for a live broadcast, it soon encounters much more than expected as it moves deeper inside the nightmarish old building. Now, funny enough, that actually encompasses the movie quite well. Because honestly, I mean that in a very, very highly, highly complimentary way. complimentary being like praise, not this compliments this, like steak compliments a red wine. Like no, a real thing that's like, this is good. This is a good thing. Because the simplicity of the story was just that. And man, I gotta say, the director, Jung Bong-sik, I believe, forgive my pronunciation, I'm just a goofy ass American. Jung Bong-sik took everything that you needed in order to really immerse yourself in what these people are doing to a level that I have never seen done quite as spectacularly. And I've seen a decent amount of like, you know, we found this, news reports found this footage of a group of students who went out into the woods, or a group of students who went into this haunted house, or a group of students who went into this hospital, or a group of students who went up their own ass. And finding the crazy thing, like the movie made so much sense as far as for setting up and trying to give a lovely fresh take on the found footage. Like I said, not quite accurate, but the found footage genre of a live, there's a live stream essentially of a popular YouTube channel, and they're broadcasting. So they set up cameras, they got all the kind of basis covers. I know there's some that do that, but just this one was executed so well. With everything falling into the line of the fact that it was simplicity with the chaos of having body cams both in front of them, and I think if I remember correctly, they were able to like see like the main kind of producer slash kind of control person could see everything going on with them. They knew where they were inside the room. Also, the stationary cameras in like the corners of walls and stuff. How that they integrated all those shots, basically just having what was very meta. What was happening inside the movie was the reason you got these different angles and everything like that. And it was also a brilliant display of how the paranormal can fuck with electronics and how they essentially manipulate space and time. It's so good. It's freaky. Some of the imagery in this movie will stick with you for the rest of your goddamn life and fuck with you every time you go to sleep. It's brilliant. And it really is backed by, and I always maintain that a horror movie, you have to have obviously depending, because if you're going for like campy, more slasher flick, campy, B movie, not to be taken that seriously, like more like fun, like how Blumhouse does like certain things where it's like clearly you're not supposed to take this seriously. It's supposed to be a fun horror thing as opposed to like traumatic, socially commentative or something like that, or scary movie that's supposed to stick with you a certain way. This was, I think, a good balance of people who were taking this the right amount of serious to really sell you on the circumstances of the film, which is a group of people trying to get a million views on a stream into a haunted asylum. And I gotta tell you right now, friends, I don't fuck with no haunted asylums. I'll go into the worst, craziest haunted house you've ever imagined. I'll go and have an extra nasty chicken burrito, beef burrito from anywhere, let my butt fall out before I fucks with any haunted asylums. No. Because humans have sucked at mental health until like the last maybe 20 years, 30 years. Back in the day, they used to just throw your head in a box and electrocute you and like give you worse trauma that didn't help. And I don't know, we're terrible at this shit. I don't fucks with no haunted asylums. That's actually what caught my eye in the first place. I was like, oh, Haunted Asylum. Like, I don't fucks with that, but like to see it in a nice separation of screen and person, that's great. I say all that because I think you have to have the right kind of cast that will sell that. And please forgive my pronunciations for this, but Wee Ha Jun, Park Ji Hyun, Oh Ha Yeon, Moon Yi Won, everybody in the cast just like has their part. They're all very distinctive. They wrote it to where they're all distinct, and they're like the caricatures, right? They kind of have like the those right. No, I just said the word. I just said the goddamn word. God. But the archetypes, that's what I was going for. The archetypes, like, you know, you got like the like the man who's in charge. So he's like, you know, you're for all intents and purposes, your protagonist slash the straight man, right? And then you have like, you know, more like the goofy the jocks and like the pretty girls and like maybe the smarter ones, the scared kind of more nerdy ones, like they're kind of versions of those things, but they were never over the top and they were never unbelievable. In fact, everybody reacts pretty much on brand when all the crazy paranormal shit starts hitting those probably horribly maintained fans. My goodness. It was just so choice, and it was a movie that I'm like, I would recommend this to anybody, especially if you love found footage and just creative ways to do it. And they did. They absolutely nailed what it could be for this particular type of film. Immersion, and I think that's what really gets it. You gotta really take it kind of seriously in order to really freak people out. And yeah. If there are any booty cracks in this, I would say there were some fairly glaring holes. If I remember correctly, there were some holes in like the mythos that they went around in the story, especially surrounding if I remember correctly, it was like the story surrounding the asylum. It was just kind of left open-ended, and I don't know if there's a sequel for any of this like that, but like open-ended to the point where I was like, oh, I was hoping like they would at least like solidify it, like this is this, you know, the old owner of the hospital and like, you know, maybe the orderlies or the doctors or something like that, like just to get that little, it could have used that. I don't want too much information, but just enough to put a period on it. It was very, very slight, very minor. And like the story isn't wholesomely original, but it doesn't fucking have to be. It was definitely a good example of like, you know, it's not what story you tell, but how, you know, it's cool. My goodness, yeah. But highly recommend, my friends, Gunjam Haunted Asylum. If you can find it, by all means, please do. I would give Gunjam Haunted Asylum a solid 9.0 out of 10. 9.0 ping pong balls. Why ping pong balls? Well, you watch the movie. If you know, you know. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. That's kind of what she does. So just going back to my chat here a little bit. Stevie T says, seriously, the most terrifying movie we've ever seen in years. I know, right? And I know it was one of those instances where like it's like, no, you're not letting me sleep by myself. You're coming into the bed. We're going to bed together because fuck this film. It's so good. Cousin Vic says 100% no way I'm going into any asylum. Yeah, it's oh my goodness. Fantastic. See, since we have a third viewer, I want to reach out to the viewers again out there, friends. If you're the third viewer out there, if you're number 3, numero tres, say hello. Say what's up. It's all good. All right, friends, we are moving on to a story that I caught from our boys at Red Letter Media, and what they did was let me solidify, like, okay, I definitely want to watch this film. But I think I stumbled upon it as like I think I stumbled upon it on a list of, like, movies that came out in the last few years, like really good movies that came out in the last few years, especially from like across the world, like something like movie the streaming service that shows movies from all different walks of life from around the world. Everything from, yes, you get American cinema, but you get like Italian, Russian, Mongolian, Indonesian, Indian, South American, Central American, like, movies from all over the world, essentially. I think I found it, like, initially came onto it, I was like, oh, what's this? And then I saw it on Red Letter Media. I was like, okay, gotta watch it. And oh boy, it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint at all. In fact, again, a movie that will stick with you because you're just like, you see this face I'm making? There it is. It's that. Oh my God. Yeah. And that movie is Skadoosh, The Coffee Table. Or, as they call it in Spanish, here, let me see. La mesita del comedor. It's like a tiny little coffee table, but for all you American people, for all the people out there who just nice and English, I guess, the coffee table. Oh boy, this movie is something. It is something good. And it'll stick with you. And I will say, it's a little right here, as far as for the poster right here, right? A little deceptive because it reminds me of that this particular poster that they made for the film kind of reminds me of High Tension. You guys remember the movie High Tension? It's an old sort of horror slasher thriller, but like it's not that type of movie. Let's get into La Mesita del Comedor. As to what's going on there, like why? So, according to Google, summary stands as this: Jesus and Maria are a couple who have just become parents. Aw, right? Isn't that sweet? And they decide to buy a new coffee table. A decision that will change their existence. Oh. And the existence of their baby, it turns out. This is why I don't shop. This very reason. This movie is the reason I don't shop. Fuck that. No, but my friends, the coffee table, it's on Wikipedia and on a few things, it is described as a very dark comedy. And I would say so. Here's what I attribute it to. If your partner or your parents had like an urn that had the ashes of their most beloved deceased family member and you broke it I want you to take that type of dread, or like, you got a report card and it's like you got a bad report card. Like, your teacher just outed you so hard that you're the biggest piece of shit in the world. And it's hidden in your room somewhere that your parents can possibly find it, but you need it back because, like, your teacher, they need you to sign it, or else they're gonna call home and your parents are not gonna be too happy with you, right? I want you to take that amount of dread and multiply it by 1,000,000,000,000. That's the coffee table. La mesita del comedor. It's a very strange movie. It's very strange, but it's so well acted and it's so interestingly executed that you cannot help but want to know where it's going at each interval of the movie. Each measure of the movie is like, I cannot stop watching because I have to know how this ends. And that is, oh my goodness, chef's kiss, porn star kiss, blah, blah, blah. It's just brilliant. Brilliant. Director, Calle Casas, Spanish language film. I personally, I believe if you find it, my friends, they probably do have the subtitled, I prefer subtitles to hear it in the original language, but I'm sure they have it dubbed as well. But it's, yeah, definitely a black comedy, but the horror is very circumstantial and very much a thriller, but there's this looming dread over the entirety of this movie that just never leaves. And it honestly does not let go until the end. And then you feel a little bleak and icky and just a little dry, just like a crackling, like, okay. The director chose to make most of this film super claustrophobic. So what that means is he pulls in really kind of a lot of extreme close-ups, and the world where it's set in, essentially I'd say like 90% of the film takes place in the apartment of this couple, and it's not very big. So you can tell like he did some expert work in trying to like craft the fact that like, okay, we're in a tight space, but it works super well because the lack of intimacy, and really catching every type of emotion and every freaking paranoid, chaotic, and just insane amounts of head space craziness, nuance that you would have to do to catch a movie like this. With just, that first initial act, the inciting incident after they buy the coffee table is like, oh, interesting. Oh boy. Yeah, and it's super simplistic. It's the simplicity lends itself because it doesn't explore more than it needs to, with a cast of characters that's just like not rudimentary, but just like it's cut and dry. That's the right word, cut and dry, so it doesn't overinflate itself to anything more. Jesus and Maria, so we have David Pareja and Estefania de los Santos, just nailed this connection of a troubled couple, but like they actually do share like moments of like, hey, we're just in a rut. We just had a baby. Like, let's make this work type deal. And then you have just a lovely supporting cast of not too many people. Claudia Riera, Gala Flores, Itziar Castro. Ooh, that's a cool name. just so many people coming in. And Emilio Gavita, is that no, that's not his brother. I think it's Josep Maria Riera. Okay. Anyway, just like the cast is just it all fits into this just such bleak brick wall. And this is not even a brick wall. This is a diamond crusted concrete centered wall that this situation cannot let you out of. Yeah. Just so many things. We were just watching this and we're just like, oh my God, that is insane. To be able to, for all of the characters to be able to show this type of, these different versions of these very specific people and these dimensions inside the characters are just awesome. And everybody brings stellar performances. Written in a way that shows very much character, but then when the situation exposes itself, it's just like, it doesn't overstay its welcome, nor does it over explain what you might think would happen in the circumstances like that. Now on for those beautiful and succulent butt cracks, that osteoporosis in the bones of a movie. I would say the biggest one is you had these really interesting plot points of these certain characters' interactions with the main character that added an interesting flavor to the movie overall, but not wholesomely necessary, if that makes sense. And they're left kind of open-ended and they don't really add to what goes on at all. It was just something that we were like, that's interesting, but what was the point? And not even like in a bad way, just like, I'm really like, I wonder, I would probably have to really dig down and just be like, I wonder what the point was, like why they added that in. It kind of made it feel like maybe it was two different concepts going into the writing and they just happened to finish on, okay, we're going to stick with the main, sort of the actual main impetus and the main through line. Is that the right word? Impetus? Impotent. That's right. The main impotent. But no, just the main chunk of like, oh, this is what the story's about. Let's stick with that. And let's flavor this in. Not necessarily bad, just interesting, and not necessarily bad. Very interesting. Added this crazy spice to the movie, but just not necessary. But yeah, friends, la mesita de comedor, the coffee table. What a ride! If you're just trying to have if you want to have a movie to talk about after like 20 minutes of silence of what did we just watch? Why did we, what? This is the movie. This is the movie you want to watch. If I'm going to do that, yep, this is what you're going to watch. I would say for the coffee table, I'm going to give that an 8.7 out of 10. So we got 8.7 IKEA furnitures. That's pretty high. Why IKEA furnitures? Trust me, you'll when you watch it, you'll know why. If you know, you know. And oh, you'll wish it was IKEA. Maybe it was. What if this was the biggest middle finger to IKEA? Damn. Which is sad because, like, I think they're okay. I think they have good pretzels, right? I don't know. All right, so I'm checking on the chat here. Hey, mama. What's up? It's all good. Hi, mama. Yay. Okay, so Cousin Vic says, no, not that fucking movie. Oh, damn. Not that fucking movie. Twisted as hell, but very good. I'm curious because like you seem to like every one of the movies that I've said, like you always seem to catch up, and you've actually seen some movies that I haven't seen that are on the list. So I gotta keep up with you, cuz. Spain, Horror, and Twisted, Requiem for a Dream for Parents. That is a brilliant way to put that. Requiem for a Dream for parents. That's a brilliant way to put that, cousin. Absolutely. Yeah. I forgot. What did I give? I gave Gunjim Haunted Asylum. Did I give him the... By the way, just going back to Gunjim Haunted Asylum. Yeah. Solid 9.0. 9.0. A solid 9 out of 10. 9 ping pong balls out of 10. Why ping pong balls? You'll know. Absolutely, you'll know. All right, friends. Yoop. I'm going out, but like I said, I had a surprise. I had a surprise for all my people coming in because I was originally just going to do these 5, right? But then caught a movie and I wanted to jump on it nice and quick status because, oh boy, what fun it is to have at a time in the movies. I love me some movies. When I was a lad, I used to watch 4 dozen movies every morning to help me get large. But now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen movies. And frankly, now I have consummate constipation and diarrhea. But the next movie will be a nice little surprise for my viewers and for people wondering. Because we caught a beautiful, beautiful movie that I am so down. All right, so you ready for this, friends? I'll give you a hint. Boop. It is Superman. I just realized I pulled up a poster in Spanish. Un film de James Gunn. ¿Le ves? ¿Le ves la tete? All right. But nope. Superman. Boom. Dun dun dun. My friends, oh boy. We actually just saw it not long ago. In fact, it was just yesterday as the time of this recording. We saw Superman, James Gunn Superman 2025. My friends, if you need a movie to help you feel good after a long day of not feeling good, maybe watching the news and everything really kind of sucks and you just need something to give you a little bit of gas, and I don't mean the kind that comes out of your butt, I'm talking about the kind that actually revitalizes you, like nourishment, something that can help you fight one more day, do the things you got to do for one more day. I think it might be Superman. This is a feel-good movie, my friends. There are so many... There's a lot of talk right now, right? About like Superman woke this and Superman that and da, da, da. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. I'm sick of all the bullcrap surrounding a thing like that. Stories are stories, my friends. Good God, like it. Let it be something positive. Let it actually promote something positive. My goodness, friends. But I will say, James Gunn delivers in the loveliness that is 2025 Superman. Very much in his James Gunn way. I gotta say, I'll get to it later, all right? So, as we go, Google, Google Schmoogle says, when Superman gets drawn into conflicts at home and abroad, at home and abroad, his actions are questioned, giving tech billionaire Lex Luthor the opportunity to get the Man of Steel out of the way for good. Will intrepid reporter Lois Lane and Superman's four-legged companion, Crypto, be able to help him before it's too late? Yeah. Overall, friends, this movie is not going to be more than it needs to. So I would say it depends, right? Like old people who can't stop pooping themselves and they want to know what they should do. Go to the bathroom or just say, it depends. That's a weird. I'll formulate the joke better, but Superman. What I mean by it depends is, did you want a complete dissection of Superman and the motivations tied into being the Man of Steel, Lex Luthor's motivations for being Lex Luthor, and like why he would do such evil shenanigans in order to essentially rule the world and everything like that? Those exist. Man of Steel was trying to do something like that. You know, we got the old Donner films going in. I know we have a few. We have like 3 or 4 TV shows to pull from, and that's not even including the animated series. Like, that's a lot. James Gunn actually did something very well where he focused it as to just be the old, a throwback to the fact that Superman is good, Lex Luthor is bad, and Superman's trying to do his best while Lex Luthor is just kind of being a really hateful, narcissistic dick. Like a genius, absolutely, but man, it's just good versus evil. And Superman is kind of back to the roots of, I just want to do good because it's the good thing to do. That's Superman. So here we get into it. Directed by James Gunn. Fantastic. I think my man's directing style really, I mean, obviously, I think he's set for life now. He was set for life at probably the first Guardians of the Galaxy. But if he never makes any other films other than like comic book adaptations or something of the line, I think he'd be set, because his style, especially for how he chooses the color saturation in his films, how he likes to write certain characters, and the witty banter with a lot of heart, with some, you know, sort of some more melancholic, tragic things, some explorations of that, right? It's like, it almost hits the perfect balance of like, for kids, adults can enjoy, adults can understand certain things that kids might, you know, they have to grow into. James Gunn is good at that. And how he chooses to make a composition, make it fun, make it like a live action comic book, so the colors are a little more vibrant, a little more bright. He loves like his sort of like psychedelic color schemes going in there with, like, you know, types of auroras that you might see in space, and these types of monsters that he really likes. He enjoys that, and I think it really works for a movie like this, because it's pulled from comics and it's vibrant, and I love that. I love that. Oh yeah, for everybody saying like my other live streams, probably like maybe down the road, I can get into like spoilers and stuff like that. But no. I don't know if you've noticed, but every single one of these parts of the review, spoiler free. I'm just trying to give you like a good impression of the movie, so you know what you're getting into, and to give it a solid, to give things solid recommendations, and sort of give you like a little bit of tapas, a nice appetizer. Not much, a nice appetizer to the actual full meal. Cousin Vic says, watching this movie this weekend. Mama Anna says, haven't seen it, but we'll see you next week. Actually, I think you'll love it. It's gonna love it. As someone who isn't the biggest Superman fan, Stephanie T says, I absolutely love this film. Cried, laughed, felt things all up in the heartstrings. Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, and going back to James Gunn, he very, very much, I think, was a good choice for this, especially for, like I said, there's so many iterations, there's so many things you can do with Superman, and like, that's got to be hard. If it was given to me, I would probably panic and just poop into my Depends so much that I would pass out and be in a coma for the next 8 years, because that is a choice that you have to make, pulling from so much source material. I thought James Gunn did great. It very much had his stamp, and that's fine. It worked. My man hasn't fallen into the territory where like his stamp is distracting. I think so far he's able to separate himself from like, this is my style, but I'm not going to do it to where all of a sudden it's taking away from what you're watching. So it's good. Dun, 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 dun. Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo. He should have been in this movie. I think I did Scooby-Doo because apparently James Gunn actually wrote a Scooby-Doo movie. Think? Yeah. Okay. So, the cast. A man is really good at casting people who like love these types of characters / caricatures and grounding them a little bit, which is awesome. David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan. David Corenswet, David and Rachel. Clark and Lois. Beautiful. The chemistry on screen was great. She's definitely she's a tough cookie, man. Lois Lane doesn't have a problem speaking her mind and getting that information out there, and she executed her Lois Lane with like poise, like the grace, but you can tell like if anybody ever comes at her with bullshit, she's gonna let you know, which I very much appreciated. And she does what she can to help Superman in the way that she can, and more so to try and expose the evil shenanigans of Lex Luthor. My man David Corenswet as Superman. What a crazy thing it might have been to get cast as the Man of Steel, right? That's got to be exhilarating, but also maybe a little scary. I don't know. If I ever speak to him, I'd ask him if he was worried at all. But he definitely, my man's got some like, obviously he'll get frustrated. He has his range of emotions, but nowhere in there did I not believe that at the end of the day, he was trying to do good the best he could as Clark and Superman. Like to the point where he's trying to save things that most anybody wouldn't try to save. I got that particular way of writing Superman. I got Doctor Who vibes, like the Doctor. And maybe I haven't seen it in a while, but like the Doctor, if you know the lore of the Doctor would try to save who he could, or who they could. Now, the Doctor would try to save who they could before terminating things, because the Doctor believes in chances. The Doctor believes in growth. So yeah, and that's what Superman is. He believes in beauty, and to come back to the Superman who has that kind of hope in humanity, in himself and everything, it's like, this is why he is your symbol, Superman. My man Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. The right kind of cartoonish campiness that was definitely believable and grounded. Like I really felt my man had a chip on his shoulder, out of place with his genius and his feelings towards Superman and the world and everything like that. Just like I never felt like there were some terrifying things of just his disposition, which I absolutely appreciated. And you got your awesome characters of Nathan Fillion as the Green Lantern. I forgot my man's name though. Greg. No, not Greg. Guy Greenwald. Damn it, forgot his name. But yeah, Nathan Fillion knocking out of the park. Isabella Merced, I know she's hot right now because of The Last of Us. She wasn't in the movie all that much, but still she did exactly what she did. Hot girl was she actually got a pretty important pivotal moment in the movie of something that was pretty substantial. And you got my man Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific. Just like that's a smooth operator right there, and just like everybody comes together in like it is Superman, but they're like the ensemble holds it up in a lovely strata of everybody doing their parts. And that's a shout out to the entire cast. Absolutely awesome. I would like to give, before I go on to butt cracks, before I smoke the crack pipe, I would like to give a shout out to, I love the fact that they did a beautiful homage to the original John Williams score in the form of an electric guitar. I remember when I saw the first trailer, the trailer that came out. It wasn't the teaser, the first trailer of that DC put out. It was like a couple months ago, maybe longer than that. That electric guitar is what started touching the heartstrings, right? And it was like, you know what I got? I got Hendrix doing the national anthem vibes. Just like, you can never go wrong with slowing down an epic score and giving it the electric guitar and slowing it down just a little bit. You can never go wrong with that. I don't think. Maybe somewhere. I don't know if the score for Titanic. Yeah, I think that'd be funny. Yeah, wouldn't necessarily add to the fact, like, the tragedy of the Titanic, maybe. Jack, is he back? No, he's dead. He's been dead. Stop it, Rose. You're married. Stop. But yeah, shout out to like the music, like the score, the composition, like it was epic. It's an epic comic book film. And I do have to give a special shout out because they actually sprinkle that guitar riff in the movie at times when you want to get ramped up again, and then it starts giving you the feels. You're like, here we go. Superman's about to Superman. So always lovely. Music is beautiful. It can go that way. I always love a good cameo from Mom Pa Kent. You know, the reason that Clark is a good person, because he just was raised by good people. And that's the whole thing, just going in. Gotta love it. Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell. Neva? Just always good to see the parents who, like, that's the reason Clark's the man. It's because he's just like, I'm a good dude. I'm just trying to be a good dude because my parents were good people. It's like, yeah, always nice. Now, are there butt cracks in the movie? Does this movie got a little bit of osteoporosis in the bones? Yes. At least in my opinion. I actually could have spent more time setting up a little bit, digging a little deeper in the relationships, especially with Superman and his like superbots. A little bit more stuff with like Ma and Pa Kent would have been nice, because they, like I said, like the performers themselves were just like awesome, and I would love to see more of that. There is a plot thread that I think doesn't quite mesh with the fact, like, it felt like it was a little too weak to actually be a problem for Clark, and by extension, the world. That kind of took me out of the film a little bit, of just like, oh, no, I don't think that would, like, it wouldn't go down like that as well. With just certain ways of the story to beef up, like, the actual, because the external conflicts were definitely covered, but the internal ones that Superman has to face with who he is, what he does, and how the world responds to it. So there's a little bit of weaknesses there. But it's handled in a way that lends itself to, like, being believable. Like, you let it pass because the movie not necessarily keeps going, but it's just like, okay, that's not the, I'm worried about these other things, and I actually want to see Clark overcome something. But I feel like something could have been stronger to actually give him more conflict in, you know, inner turmoil and conflict with the world, and see a little bit more circumstances and a little more issues that he might actually have in dealing with stuff like that. It's things, you know, it's things. A few other things, a few other tiny little cracks in the thing. Vader, little Vader. And I'm trying to think. There might have been a few other things, a few other cracks, but I didn't write them down because I'm not scholarly like that. But it probably wasn't that important because I think that was probably the main things. And you know, any movie you can nitpick, and you know, we were talking about it on the way home and kind of rewatching some things. There's little nitpicks things to happen. And I guess if you like I said, if you wanted a crazy dissection and some really deep and profound psychological things of what Superman could be to the world and everything, it's like this wasn't the movie for that. You might have to tune to a TV show. You just wouldn't have that kind of time, even if you had 3 hours. And this movie, I think it just runs just under like 2.5 hours, I think. You wouldn't be able to just cover all that. This is a very, very straightforward Superman film. That honestly, I agree with one of my guys that I like to watch, the Birdman 15. That it was a refreshing Superman because of how straightforward, cut and dry it was. I love me some crazy dissections. I love Alan Moore. I love diving deep into the psychology of any type of character. I love deep, complex, multi-dimensional, omni-dimensional stories. If I can keep up, even if I can't, if my nose starts bleeding and like half my brain falls out of my ass, that's cool because it's an experience. I love all that. And then I love complete shallow schlock that's just goofy, and you watch it with this, like there's no effort to watch it. You just can. And everything in between. Superman, this was not that Superman. This Superman was refreshing, as in the Man of Steel. I feel like people forgot, like he's supposed to, yes, he's the good old boy. He is, because he's supposed to be good for the sake of being good. I'll never, ever get sick of a story that needs to be that. The person who does good because it's good to do good. And to always be better. Always try to do better. Superman. That is my Alabama whiskey, which actually makes sense. But my Alabama whiskey tastes like old boots. All right, let's see. Superman. So Mama Anna says, where would I rate it among the other Superman movies? I would probably say so I saw the first two Christopher Reeves. I saw Man of Steel. Oh my God. I didn't see the one with Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, I don't think. And I guess if you count like the Superman cameos in like Justice League and stuff, Batman v Superman, what was that, 5? I would rank it up there in the top 3. I would rank it up there, honestly. Certain parts, actually, I would rank above like the original Christopher Reeve Superman, and other parts just in that strata of like the top 3. Superman 1, Superman 2, and then Superman 2025. I would probably rank it up there as in the tops of the things. Yeah, it's just it was a refreshing take and a good time. It's a good time at the movies too. And it also I think it also lends itself to be one of those movies that you can sit down and watch, or you can have it on, which I know is rare sometimes in things, because you either want to watch something or but like you can absolutely watch this and just have it on as something that can make you feel better, because Superman wants to do good. People in the world want to do good. So yeah, it would be. It's definitely up there, friends. So, James Gunn's Superman 2025. Fantastic. Absolutely highly recommend. It is good for the family too. I give Superman 2025 8.5 out of 10. So that's 8.5 doggy toys out of 10. Why doggy toys? Watch the movie. Watch the movie and you'll know. If you know, you know. Yeah. All right, friends, that is my lineup for today. And whoop, and a 1 and a 2, and here we go to do. That is my lineup for today, friends. Any last minute questions, comments, concerns? Any things that you want to add to this? What other movies would you like to see? I'm gonna try and keep up, friends. The movies can be expensive business. I hope to keep giving you good things, good recommendations. I want to give you good recommendations to watch, to have fun while you watch TV and movies. Always this ridiculous obsession with movies. Yeah, anything else? Yeah, throw them in the chat before I gotta go. I got to go. Huh. Ooh, I got a little drooly there. Cousin Vic says, wanted to ask if it's true that the Naked Gun is getting a reboot. Yes, it is. It's getting a reboot with Liam Neeson. You know, maybe I'm biased because I fucking love a good slapstick comedy. I miss slapstick. I think it needs to be around more. But some of the clips I've seen from the trailers and stuff, the teasers and stuff, actually are pretty funny. My biggest concern might be that they're gonna go a little too far with certain things, like when they did kind of like those like after scare, like the Scary Movie 4 and on, and then like disaster movie, epic movie, like stuff like that, where it's it just became a parody of itself, and there's like the execution of jokes were just there's not my taste as far as for like slapsticky stuff. Like there has to be still some good concise writing and good like sharp dialogue and stuff. So it looks pretty. I hope they do it enough to where it's good, but it's also focused and sharp. Like the old ones. I love all three Naked Gun movies, so. Vader says, I'm sorry I missed the live. It's okay. Big sis and big brother and my little Bader, my little big Bader. It's gonna be on my channel forever and ever. Forever and be in my heart and I will always love you. Yeah, it'll be there. And plus, I'm also gonna see if I can chop it up and get the excerpts of each review that you have. So, yes, I saw that, cousin. Mel Brooks came on there, and it was the long space crawl of everything that they remade, and now it's time for Spaceballs. I was actually really. really excited about that. So I hope if Mel Brooks is involved, or at least he hired a team of writers that would keep it close to his heart, and give us an awesome sequel for Spaceballs. And if he brings back the satire parody movie, oh, that'd be great. Vader says, Jay was not impressed with the trailer movie. You know it's his favorite movie. I know. And I think that's probably why. Like, anybody who is a diehard, it's hard. It's hard to beat Leslie Nielsen, man. My man was just crafted for dry comedy and just that beautiful execution. I think they chose pretty well with Liam Neeson. I'm not sure who else could have done that as well, especially because like he's Liam Neeson is kind of a parody because of like the Taken and the memes, and he's of just being like the guy who can. He's like, I'm going to be serious, but I can also be really funny with how dry I am. Like, it's cool. Like, it's all right. I have hope, but I understand why. Why my brother would probably be really. He'd be really kind of reluctant, like not impressed with that. I'm still probably gonna go see it just to see, but I have high hopes. No, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep it right here. Spaceballs. I'm also curious if, as far as for the Spaceballs one, if they're gonna bring back the original cast. Because other than, you know, my heart goes out to him, but other than Barf, because rest in peace, John Candy, everybody's up and kicking still. No, yeah, Bill Pullman's alive. Oh, hold on, let me just double check this madness. Vespa, darling, fool you. Yep. Yeah, pretty much like the entirety of the main cast is still. The entirety of the main cast, I think, is still kicking, minus John Candy. Bill Pullman's still alive. Vic Moranis, awesome. Daphne Zuniga as Princess Vespa. Mel Brooks, and my man's older. I pitched that he should do the scene from Empire, so where he's in his little thing, and it's just older Mel Brooks, just like, he's like, I tried to do all the merchandising, but I couldn't, and he's like a half dead, and then he wakes up again or something like that. But yeah, I think all the main cast. If they bring back Dot Matrix, I know Joan Rivers. Mama, you still kicking? No. I know she got a lot of flack for just, you know, she's a thing, but you know, she was the voice of Dot Matrix, so somebody could probably do a really good Joan Rivers, or you know, if they got a different, if there's a different Dot, if there's a different you know, the lovable droid that walks around with them. That was my Virgin alarm. It's programmed to go off before you do. Oh, man. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, Vic says the Dot Pad, Dot Matrix. I don't know if the body actress died who would do like the movements, the performer who did her movements. But yeah, Joan Rivers passed away. I just looked up, in 2014. Of course, Rick Moranis has to come back. Dark Helmet. I think Colonel Sanders, my man, is still alive. I really do hope that if they're able to somehow get Rick Moranis back as Dark Helmet, that'd be freaking fantastic. I would hope it would be amazing. I'm here for it. My friends, if I want to take away for anything, you don't have to be disappointed. You can just, if something disappoints, you don't have to be disappointed. You just walk away and later. But I always have fucking hope that a thing, a movie, a TV show, anything will be good. We want it to be good. And I know it's hard. Trust me. I've created shit long enough to know how difficult it is. That's why I never give up hope. Kind of like Superman. Am I Superman? Absolutely not. I'm your friendly neighborhood Heyoka. Me and Superman would have a good time, though. I would scream like Chris Tucker if he like sent me flying and like he would like hold on. He's like, hold on. And I'd probably scream for a little bit, but it's okay. I know he'd take care of me. All right, friends. If there's nothing else, I love doing a live to you. Hopefully in the middle of the day, but like I said, you can watch it back. It's okay. Because I love doing it for you, and I love talking about these films. Go check them out. I love doing these reviews. Put them in the comments. Get in the comments, Brendan Lee Mulligan. Do it, Brendan Lee Mulligan. Get in the comments of movies that either you want to talk about or that you haven't seen, and I'll see if I can check it out. Or recommendations. I love recommendations too. Let me know. Let me know what's going on. And I love pretty much any and all genres. Yes, even romantic comedies. If they're good, they're good. It's all good. My favorite romantic comedy, Shaun of the Dead. It's a rom-com with zombies. Right? Who does that? That's right. All right, family, everybody, I love y'all so much. Love my audience out there. I hope you enjoyed. This is Dimitri, your friendly neighborhood Heyoka, saying, hey, remember, peace is the default. Damn near everything is nuanced. And please, just be fucking excellent to each other. All right, y'all. I think that's a see you later. Peace. Superman. Pete. You know what's going on.